Okay, let's see if this works. Hello, good evening. We're just gonna go with this, and Sky will probably lose something for not being in bed when she's supposed to be in bed, because that's how we do things. We've already tried the bribery and it doesn't work. Yeah, so where were we? How is everyone? Cathar's pushing robot, Dr. Trotter. Well, not many people here right now. I've actually just been rushing in and trying to record my first part of my nuclear weapons thing, but I obviously won't be ready for tomorrow because I have a lot of editing to do. Oh, Jaden, really? I try. I have trimmed my eyebrows. Jaden says I'm cute. You know, I've done my best trimming my eyebrows done so that they don't look like the brows of science that they usually are. Yeah, nukes. Yes, I know. We're a big fan of. Well, we're a big fan of nuke science. Okay, so I've got to make this encounter happen, don't I? So I don't want to warp there. I want to focus on this. Ah, there we go. Focus view. Do. And let me just see. So we are coming in and we're going around like that. So I wanna place a maneuver node right there. Add maneuver. 4 days away. Hello from Norway. Hello. Yeah. No, that's Sweden, isn't it? I don't know how to say hello from Norway other than, you know, you're like the Norse or something, right? I'm just going to set a reasonable periaps here. I think that will actually be fine. We'll do the relevant rendezvous. Uh-oh. Yeah, in fact, I will do that because it'll actually put my put the thing in the right place. Okay. In fact, yeah, I'm just gonna leave that because it'll be fine. Maybe I should do something. I was thinking I might not. Oh, 8 years. No, I don't want to maneuver in 8 years. How about I do a maneuver slightly further out so I can make the correction there. 0 meters per second. That is kind of a little small margin for error there. Smaller margin for error than I would like. Wow! Silent Searchlight is going to be able to pay off most of his home mortgage. That is strangely interesting, I guess. Congratulations, I guess is what I should say to that, right? Let's warp to next maneuver. Oh, I cannot auto warp so far. How about this? Why can I never see this thing? Damn it. Show me. Show me. There we go. Warp to next maneuver. Okay. It's more a result of luck. Is that capital L luck? Capital, all capitals. Wait, oh my god, Uberspaz just subscribed. Uberspaz subscribed for 4 months in a row. That's a 4-month subscriber, which is coincidentally how long I'm having to wait to get to this maneuver node, isn't it? Really, drink for the night is tea. So I'm sick. I didn't record anything last night because I was sick and I went to bed at 9 and I'm still not feeling great. But I I'm really getting into this like 3 parts to everywhere thing, not because it's necessarily difficult, but because it's kind of chill and I kind of like you guys and I really want to finish this thing up. Okay, I am gonna. Oh, thrust limiter is still set to 1%, so let's see how this works. Look at that, beautiful. We're just gonna minimize this whole thing. In fact, I should set as target. That's interesting. I think that's where I'm going to leave it there. Okay, so now I'm going to add a maneuver there. Slow down. Excellent. And see, I put the descending node way the hay out there. Oh man, you see that? That's pretty good. Okay, so warp to next maneuver. I have previously made a video of on Principia. You know, the best thing about Principia is that um, they've actually fixed the issue with the positions of the poles, which is kind of the most frustrating thing about Kerbal Space Program is that Mu never made the planetary quad sphere system work with any axis of rotation. It wasn't directly up. And so that meant that the realism overhaul had to do weird things with the inclination of all the orbits to get the inclination of Earth's equator relative to the ecliptic to make sort of sense. And Principia fixes all that. It's marvelous. And for that reason alone, I recommend getting it. So anyway, wait a second. This is here, that's going out there, and I should make this here. Oh, I can't change it. Oh, wow, there it is, right there, right there. Estimated burn in 2 minutes. Wait a second. Now what we're going to do is maximize this. So I'm just going to fire retrograde, to be honest. 66 kilometers. Am I excited to see Season 3 of The Expanse? Yes, I am. In fact, I had a chance to go and get to the stuff, you know, to see them behind the scenes, but I would have, I have no, I honestly had to say no because my family's been kind of mad that I've been spending so many weekends away doing awesome things. So we're doing this instead. I should play Elite Dangerous again sometimes. I think I shall, because now I have all these, you know, people on Discord. I think we can all get together and maybe go and kill some Thargoids or something like that. I don't know. Just suggesting it might be fun. Okay, so now we're focused like a laser. So I want to fly out here and fix my inclination. So that's my descending node, so I need to do normal. Am I planning to try out the new VR headsets? You know what? Right now there's not that many games, and I don't know if any of the games will be improved by better VR headsets. Also, I don't really have the processing power on hand to fix this. Okay, where's my... I need rendezvous. Relative inclination 5 degrees, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Bingo! Oh, 0.03. That is marvelous. Okay, so now we gotta figure out how to rendezvous. So I'm gonna come down to here and we'll make a rendezvous happen. It's super... Well, they're basically like boss battles where you have to all work together. And they're getting easier, apparently. Well, they were too easy, and then they got... You know... Then the Thargoid weapons got nerfed. Universe Sandbox is absolutely cool with VR. However, Universe Sandbox isn't really a real game. Where we're going is we're going to go to the surface of Eeloo after I, of course, perform this very important refueling thing. How much delta V? I have 643 meters per second. So I have to refuel in orbit. And then after that, we are going to try to get down to Moho. Oh, yes. And that is going to be the hard part, because getting down to Moho is going to be very easy. But I will probably need one or more in-space, deep space refueling things to actually happen. I'm going to stop there. Relative speed 160 meters per second. Fantastic. So I'm going to warp to here. So we're going to fly up and come down, and it should be coming my way somewhere. There it is. So now I'm going to switch to target relative velocity, and I need to push this node over here. So Let's do that. Jeb is 55 years older. Yes, he. Excuse me, a 55-year-old will have no trouble flying the controls right now. Think about it, I'm 44. I'm not that much younger than Jeb at this point. It's not how old you are, or, you know, how fit you are, but how you use the skills and abilities awarded to you. Wouldn't do an Eve curb and Eve maneuver to... You know, so Kotharis, I did think about aero braking at Eve. I have considered that. However, I'm also concerned that that might lead to burn up. Of course, I have no hair. Of course, I look like an old man. Actually, yeah, someone's saying they strongly suspect Jeb had sent a clone in the mission. Yeah, I've got no heat shield. That's the main thing. Oh, no. What do you mean? People are suggesting that Jeb would have been at least 15 years old when he was given this mission, and therefore he should be 70. I will point out that Jeb was born ready to fly rockets. Oh, yes. Jeb, he was born ready. Maybe a gravity slingshot might work. It is really, you know, the margins are really kind of small, so I might just brute force it. But yeah, a gravity assist near Eve might be the best option here. Okay, getting the velocity down, just kind of poking, pushing the retro vector is what I call this. 42 meters per second now. Yes, brute force and sheer ignorance is something which is a lot easier. Because Kerbal society is rocket-centric, no one knows how long they live, since most die in accidents before reaching old age. That is absolutely true. It's horrific, but true. Yeah, definitely, aero braking might be a good plan. I'm just gonna say it. But it might just be more fun to chase after this thing in deep space. Just let it get really close here. Kerbals are definite R strategists. What's an R strategist? Is that a specific kind of comment about, you know, technique for problem solving that I don't know anything about because I'm not really that kind of thing? Oh, why is this thing sort of half folded? That's interesting. That looks like a glitch. Interesting. I don't know why that's half folded. Target. Do you think Kerbals exist in real life? Of course they do. They're just, you know, the universe, the star that they exist around obviously couldn't exist. But there's nothing to say that real Kerbals couldn't exist. Just like Santa Claus. But with more explosions, obviously. Ah, R and K. So somebody, Viking Pirate is explaining about R strategist versus K strategist, which is something I would really like to learn about because it's science. Did anybody see I posted the winner of the Dance Your PhD competition, which is an annual competition to encourage arts and sciences? And I think it's by far the best interpretive dance for a PhD that I've ever seen. It really is a well-produced production and explains lots, and yeah, love it. I mean, some of the other entries were great, but the winner was just like straight up art. Okay, release. Okay, so where are we? I am here, and I'm going to have to go around 90 degrees. But first of all, let's decelerate. So we're going to land. So we're going to land on the daytime side, obviously. Hey, Halifax! Is that a new fancy emote thing? Yes, still getting Jeb around Kerbal. We are going everywhere because we can. Oh, we get some mountains here. I think actually I want to not land on those mountains. So I'm going to actually wait for it to go further around because I think those mountains... Wow. I guess I hadn't realized how fast Eeloo rotates. Is that new? You want to see Thargoids in Kerbal Space Program? Actually, somebody did that. Somebody did a Thargoid-style vessel in KSP. It was pretty cute. I'm going to aim for this valley here. Okay, so... Coming around. Look at us go. I mean, so you might have seen on Sunday we had an epic time for at least the first part. Am I going to watch the meteor shower? You know what? We are cloudy right now. So probably not. Here we go, getting close. Right, so that is the valley I want to aim to get into. What planets are left on the list? Well, we're about to land on Eeloo. We have Moho, Gilly, and Eve, and then we're done. As a wild manly has indeed appeared. Wild. Okay, let's see if I can drop this right into that valley here. Decelerating hard. Beautiful. So now we should come down roughly straight into the middle at 35 meters per second. Yes. I want to see KSP kind of feature in GTA 6. What, do you want a thing where you can build rockets and bolt things together and then perform gang heists in space? Because I would totally not object to any of that. I think it's one of the more fun stuff to do in GTA now has been the flying rather than the driving, because the flying can lead to many more crashy type things. What's happening with Galileo Conquest? Honestly, Galileo Conquest kind of hit this thing where I was like, you know, I really want to do something else for a little while. And I'm doing a little something else for a little while. That's kind of what's happening. And it will be back. It's not disappeared for good. Let's be clear on that. It will return to these shores. Because there's too many things going on. But I think... It's gonna be like the JWST. There we go. Somebody mentioned the JWST. So it's gonna be like the James Webb Space Telescope, like forever getting pushed out, but it's gonna be huge. We are gonna have more Galileo Conquest, but please don't ask for it because it's like, oh god, you know, now I gotta explain all the time. Actually, you know, the wrong way to ask for more Galileo Conquest is to say, hey, this sucks, give us more Galileo Conquest. That annoys me. But saying, yes, you'd like some more, that's fine. There we go. And we're not sliding. Okay. Let's get out and plant this flag. Plant the flag. And who was the last person to subscribe? While scrolling. Uberspaz! Uberspaz gets the flag. Uberspaz. Retreat. Because he's for real. That is, I think, will ultimately be the most memorable thing about Galileo Conquest is the fact that so many people now watch Galileo have gone and watched Father Ted as a result of Galileo Conquest. Okay, so we've got our flag, which is good because the last place we didn't get a flag placed, and I was kind of feeling sad. I was feeling incomplete. I was like, why don't we have a flag? It's so sad. Okay. Apple website. Bingo! That should be pretty good. Ah, okay, maybe just a little faster. And... oh yeah, probably need to actually target this thing, set as target. Okay, so we'll come out... yeah, we're going to be way ahead of it. So let's go up over the top. And we'll rendezvous there. Totally inefficient, but who cares? Viking Pirate watched a little bit of Father Ted and honestly didn't like it. You know what? You clearly need to watch more. Right? Go on, go on, go on, go on. Yeah, so, yeah, JPSS was supposed to be launched at 1:30 a.m. Pacific time yesterday. It's going to be launched again, or it's supposed to be launched in 3 hours' time, roughly, from Vandenberg. Yesterday, they called... They called a scrub because of high level winds, high altitude winds. So maybe we'll get to see that this time. I don't know. You want to see the Halo ring from Halo games and KSP as a mod? I've talked about that. So the Halo ring is obviously a reference to an orbital as seen in Ian Banks' books. So that's the other thing I've always hoped that I like to push people onto is Ian Banks' books. Why have they... why don't in any sci-fi movie series they never have solar panels like... they have super efficient batteries or something? You know, they'll usually have fusion power. Or actually, in most spacecraft in sci-fi is powered by something called the plot drive. Yes, HAL 237. Apollo, they did one orbit in low Earth orbit. They performed a circularization maneuver. It used 1 kilometer per second off the upper stage of the Saturn V. They did once around to get checks, and then they used that to boost to the moon with the rest of the Delta V. Okay, now we need to do another change. All is mostly well other than me being kinda sick, which means I've not really had much effort or energy to produce videos. However, I did just record voiceover for my nuclear weapons series. Maybe I should do a reading for this stuff, because I actually wrote a script and everything. Who wants to hear my unedited version of my nuclear weapons script once we're doing time warping or something? Didn't they flip the CSM? No, they did the CSM, what's called translation docking or whatever. They did that on the way to the moon. Oh crap. Yeah, they did that whole maneuver on the way to the moon. After they'd boosted into the lunar transfer orbit. What happens is the third stage of the Saturn V pushes them onto a free return trajectory. And then I think afterwards they were able to fix... anyway, hold on. So now we've got our target. Oh, the nuke series is... My god, it has been a serious undertaking because I got really interested in minutiae which I don't usually... Most people don't care about. They're all like, look, it's a chain reaction, magic, critical mass, boom, right? No, it's like, no. Why? Why do you enrich? Well, it's a little more complicated. There's so much in the way of lies to children, I think is the way I would say it. Okay, I should fix this way. Okay. We're going to dock first and make this happen, transfer this, and then this is going to head off towards Moho. Or Eve. If I can get an encounter with Eve, I might consider it. Because I could certainly use it to bleed off some speed, right? It's just a question of encountering it in the right place. That's right, so it's not actually a refuel en route. What I need is a refuel when I get down low near the sun. Is the plan to go back to Kerbin? No, we're going to finish up on Eve unless somebody wants me to rescue him. And of course you guys will want me to rescue him afterwards. Okay. Okay, so now... release... So, we're heading down. This is going to be the interesting part. I said... Thank you. Focus. The sun. So I guess the best thing to do is just go for it, right? Oh, crap. Eeloo. Okay, so I'm going to wait for us to come around the daytime side. And then we'll just head downwards because there's not much I can really do here. Oh crap, it's still detached here. Release. Oh man, they gotta wait for that thing to go. I tried to land on the sun one time. Was it daytime? Because you all know that if you want to go to the sun, you want it to be nighttime. Am I right? I'm right. Okay, here we go. We're gonna go all the way down. I wonder how much Delta V I have to give up before I end up falling towards the sun. Okay. So now I need to take a look at the sun. Because what's going to happen is I'm going to fall down here, and when I'm passing Moho, I'm going to be moving at, frankly, ridiculous speeds. So I want to see if I set... Actually, I'm going to set Eve as a target to see what happens. Well, the first thing to realize, actually, is that my alignment towards Moho is much closer. And it's actually going to put me kind of in a good position to fix some things. Yeah, so basically, because of the orbit of Moho is actually pretty closely aligned to the orbit of Eeloo, so transferring directly is a little easier. So maybe I'm just going to go and brute force it. Oh, I should probably F5 this, by the way. We just need to set off enough nukes on Eve to make it brighter than the sun. That would be interesting for show. Isn't this actually good? Look, my periaps and my... Oh, look at this! Look at how close those are going to be. Okay. So I'm sure I can make this work. I'm gonna have to correct a few things regardless. So... okay, so I'm gonna leave that there. 150 or whatever. So, let me switch back to the other spacecraft. Focus the view. So we're gonna chase after this thing. Okay, so where is it? Thank you. Set as target. Relative velocity. I want to find out what direction it's going. Wrong way! So I've got about 400 in this. I wonder how fast this thing builds up speed. So I'm just basically trying to pick up the same kind of speed that this thing has. So I'm aiming towards the target right now. You made me wonder how bright a supernova you'd need to have the sun cast a shadow. Oh, to make the sun cast a shadow. That's a good question, actually. A visible shadow? I remember an XKCD where Randall figured out that that if you were at the distance of the Earth relative to the Sun and the Sun went supernova, the luminosity would be equivalent to holding a hydrogen bomb up to your eye. Which is quite bright, technically. So obviously I want to chase after this thing, right? I'm gonna do that. And you can hear me using my reaction control thrusters right now because I want to use up as much of my monopropellant. The monopropellant is less efficient. So if I can use as much of that as possible, it will mean that I have more regular fuel left to actually do things. Yes, at that point, your eyesight is the least of your problems. Yes, the Moho discontinuity, the boundary between the crust and the mantle that Moho is named after. I totally got that name because I did study geology, although I only studied it to a very low level, enough to know how to get myself into trouble when I talked with planetologists. Because planetologists are kind of awesome people. I mean, I say that for a lot of scientists. I like scientists in general. They're all pretty cool. I wonder what distance this target is. So just right click on it. 400 kilometers out. I can never hear the word planetologist and not think of Kynes from Dune. You know what? Dune was right. There are real world planetologists. They're called planetary scientists, of course, but you know what I mean. You think the bomb is in physical contact with your eyeball. That would not be far from the truth, Demon Hat. So it's important to realize that I'm kind of lower down on the gravity well right now. How much? Yes, that much energy is reaching. So I mean, here's the thing that a lot of people don't get. Like, people think of neutrinos as being these ethereal objects that just kind of fly through your body, but neutrinos during a supernova, when you get a core during a core collapse where you get a neutron star formed. Let's be clear. There's many kinds of neutrinos, many kinds of supernova. Core collapse supernova. Um, the neutrinos end up like coupling with the outer layers of the star, and that's actually what blows off the outer layers of the star, right? Because that's the only way you can transfer momentum right through the entire stellar envelope. So the neutrino flux is so insanely high that that's what's thought to be a big driver of blowing up the actual star. That's how you get the energy out of this neutron star that's collapsing and into the space around it. Does that make sense? Hold on. I'm going this way, right? No, that's the way I want to go. Yep. Just want to check that I'm doing this correctly. Doesn't yeah, no, the neutrino has, it does have mass. Yes, it has extremely small mass. It's neutrino. Well, so that's the thing, right? Photons are nice, but how do you get photons out of the middle of a neutron star? I should probably take a look at these things just to make sure. Yeah, monopropellant levels are fine. And the reason why we know neutrinos have mass is because we have observed that they change states between being muon, electron, and tau neutrinos. And the only way that's possible is if they don't travel at the speed of light, and if they don't travel at the speed of light, then they have to have mass. But the mass of the neutrino is still somewhat unknown. Yeah, neutrinos have less mass than an electron. They're easily the lightest thing. And they don't carry electric charge, hence the name. That's hence neutron, right? Neutral, and eno implies they're small. So, like, that's where the name comes from. I thought enough photons would be pushed into neutrinos. Actually, what are the, can photons even couple with neutrinos? I don't think they can, or I think it would require some very extreme conditions where you have some sort of ghost particle. But they're not. They don't. They couple via the weak force only. So so photons are all about the electromagnetic force. So they shouldn't couple directly to neutrinos, but you might get situations where they interface, due to virtual particles and all that other stuff. Oh, trying to get these things to actually head towards each other. Would we detect our sun going supernova? As I said, well, here's a question Rock will answer. Would you detect an atomic weapon exploding in front of your eye? I think you would. But yeah, the sun isn't large enough to go supernova. Although, the sun hypothetically might go supernova eventually because it will collapse into a white dwarf after running through its main sequence. And maybe in some distant future, it encounters another white dwarf and they collide, and you will get a supernova, right? If there's enough mass. So, white dwarfs, if they, white dwarfs can end up basically exploding. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, white dwarfs can end up exploding. Okay, let's see how we do in terms of encountering these things. Look at us moving towards each other. Okay. One day I will finish Galileo Conquest for sure. But I think it's gonna be all live streams for Galileo Conquest because I like you guys. Although I will take the stuff that I record during live streams and edit it down and everything. It's just gonna be recorded essentially live. Okay, so 65 kilometers out. Once I get my monopropellant down to under 100, that's when I have to give up on this. Yes, Stellaris Synthetic Dawn. I played that for a bit. I need to play it more. How long do you edit per hour of gaming? Well, usually what happens is I'll finish around quarter to midnight, and by about half past midnight I've edited the thing down and it's recording and running. It depends on how many funny ass jokes there are in it, and I don't mean jokes about donkeys, I mean actually funny jokes. So please help me out if you come up with some funny jokes. There we go. Moving in. Recorded in front of a live studio audience. That means that every time somebody walks in, right? Like if any of the kids walk through, you guys all have to clap and cheer. Like, woo! Because that's what happens in American sitcoms, right? It's like whenever anybody comes on, everybody always like applauds for no apparent reason. I never quite got that. I mean, I guess it's because they have like a big please applaud sign. I never quite got that. Do you think, like, I don't know, when they write these shows, do the guys that write the scripts also write when the audience is supposed to applaud and cheer and everything? What kind of camera do I use for the live streams? I'm using a Logitech. There we go. 14 kilometers. I should probably turn off the RCS right now. Oh, man. Right, so they have jobs for audience directors, but do the audience directors decide when the crowd, the audience, should applaud? Or do the people writing the show say, okay, and at this point, we have to let the audience director call for applause? I haven't watched much of Star Trek Discovery at all because it is on CBS No Access, and I have no access. I'm going to wait until all the episodes are there rather than subscribing to it. Ah, man. What if a star went supernova within a couple of light years away from Earth? That would not be good, but we'd probably fine. I have not seen the project of creating the next generation Enterprise in Unreal Engine 4. Is that a good idea? Okay, we're about 100 seconds out. And now we're getting close once again. Gonna do this. Once again, re-push my thing back onto the rendezvous. Right, so what I'm wondering, Omega Construct, is who writes that? Is it the script writer, or is it somebody that's actually running the live event that tries to figure that out? That's what I'm not sure, right? There's a lot of dead projects. I remember trying to create the original Starship Enterprise in something called Free Space. Is it the Free Space? Yeah, Free Space construction language. The Free Space, I think, was a game engine that was designed for 3D games, basically. It did Driller was one, and Total Eclipse was another. They were really kind of slow and plodding. They were not fast by any measure. Okay, so you are gonna target. You're gonna aim at the target. And then you are going to aim at your target. So yeah, Free Space they had a thing called 3D Game Maker, or 3D Construction Kit. And yeah, one summer I was just like, I'm going to make the Starship Enterprise, and I created all these like fun things you could do. You could get like a little shuttle and travel from one place to another. There were transporters. You could go up to the bridge. But I mean, that's totally lost. It's all in floppy disks, which will never see the light of day again. Okay, get my Delta V back. And my high school senior drafting project was the entire Enterprise in whatever CAD we were using back in '96. That is impressive. Have I mentioned that I won prizes at school for my technical drawing? And also for my science, obviously. And also for sewing. Not many people know that. Okay, let's get out into the deep space now. We're traveling out here, and then I'll start to make corrections to try and bring us close to Moho. So I will get here, and that will be there. So what I need to do actually is point my ship backwards and slow down, right? So that should mean that I arrive slightly later. So I'm just going to eyeball this thing. So I'm going to use really, really tiny thrust here. Not 0. 1 would be nice. Here we go with the eyeball. See, that's slow. That brings us closer together. See that? What I'm doing is just slowing. So we're just going to swing by this, and then hopefully I can slow myself down right as I'm there. Wow, you guys are like really good on the drawing stuff. I learned a lot of my drafting skills because my dad would have a drawing board set up at home, and I would kind of watch him and learn how all that works, and he showed me how to use a slide rule, which is cool. So yeah, that was helpful, but then I just, was very good at figuring out the 3D shapes and figuring out where the construction lines and everything should be. So it was a very traditional kind of drafting and drawing. Totally didn't help me for my computer skills, and it doesn't help me at all with modern CAD stuff. I can't get my head around Blender. But I was pretty good with Povray when I could actually just write the software. It's 2017 and I still haven't really accepted the IAU's decision to demote Pluto to dwarf planet status. Soviet Misaki. It deserved it. It was unable to clear its area. I'm just going to say that. Ah. Of course, I've just realized that after I get this rendezvous, you know, whatever. Blender has a learning cliff. You know what? I managed EVE Online. I can handle anything. How many planets do we have in the Sol system? We have currently 8 major planets, a handful of dwarf planets, and about 750,000 known minor planets. There we go. Look, see, we're bringing these things closer together. So what I'm basically doing is slowing down my orbit so that this thing ends up making this encounter. The next thing I'm going to need to do is figure out where my various repositories, where my depots are going to be. Planet 9, so there is the thing with Planet 9, if you go and watch, I did do a video on it, so a lot of people have asked. Planet 9 is a curious mathematical observation regarding many of the larger, more eccentric bodies in the Edgeworth-Kuiper belt. What was observed is that they all tend to be biased with having their perihelia in a certain orientation and their aphelia in another orientation. And the only way that really makes sense, or statistically, this is highly unlikely to have occurred randomly. So the people suggest that this may be because there is another body out there that is messing with their orbits, right? Some large body that is able to influence them, able to corral them into this combined shared orientation. A dwarf planet, dwarf human is still a person. Exactly. I don't think there is any shame in being a dwarf planet. Let me just say that. Why doesn't it want to show these? They're 9, 8. Okay. Oh, damn, that's as close as we're gonna get there. Okay. I wonder what... If only I could see... So we're going to be 16,000 away there. I'm going to add maneuver there. And I'll make another maneuver correction or whatever there. Because I think I'm going to be pretty close. So let's just warp to this maneuver. Oh, actually, let's set the maneuver up first. Oh, that's interesting that it doesn't show... Hold on. Two years, 211 days, and it doesn't show the new approach. You know what? Let's try going... Should I go normal, anti-normal? It's really... I can't see the angle here. But it looks like I'm just outside the orbit, so maybe if I slow down, it'll get a little closer. No, okay, maybe if I speed up. That's not going to work. Maybe if I go radial in... There. We'll make this get closer and closer. I'm just going to seek it using these numbers. So I'm not doing maneuver nodes because I just can't get close enough. So anyway, yeah, it's all... Planet 9 is a mathematical prediction based upon certain observations, and the last I looked, they've been definitely looking in certain regions in the sky to see if maybe they can find some evidence, but... Okay, now I'm going to do normal and see if I can make some progress towards the target here. That doesn't seem to work. How about we go retrograde and see if that'll help. Okay, we'll go retrograde and that'll get us closer. Remember, I've got this set to the absolute minimum that's possible. Oh, look, we're now getting a close approach. Okay, so now I can switch to Moho, focus view. So watch this. So let's do normal. See that? Getting closer and closer. What's going to be scary is the amount of delta V that it's going to take to slow down. That's us as close as we get there. Radial in. Let's try radial in and see if that helps. Oh no, radial out. Let's just see what it's going to take to capture now. This is going to be kind of scary how much delta V we need to capture here. We have like 3.2 kilometers per second in this thing. So I'm going to need a refuel here, basically. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to need to somehow have a spacecraft ready to capture this thing. And do I have a spacecraft here? I do have the Moho depot. Well, let me just take a look at the Moho depot, actually. Is this the one that has the huge things? I'm going to switch to it. No, this is not the one. Okay, so I need to figure out where I left the spacecraft with the huge fuel tanks. Because that thing is they're going to have a hard time catching up with me to refuel. Is there a spacecraft here that I can use? Oh, you know what it is? I know where it is. I know where it is. It's going to be out around Joule, right? Because I bet you I have a big spacecraft here. Here. Yes! So this thing needs to get itself homewards. It needs to head itself down there, and it might actually be able to get there first. Who knows? Okay. Or I could just shoot something into the relevant orbit, right? Oh, wait a second. What I'm looking... So what I'm going to do is kind of send this thing... Yeah, this is actually the best place to do this. Okay, retrograde right now. Yes, as they said in Armageddon, I'm begging your pardon, sir, but it's a big-ass sky. What? Rock will answer, what dwarf planet are you talking about that was only discovered because it traversed a star? I think you might be confusing something. Okay, focus on the Jewel Depot. We're gonna swing it down and then we're gonna kick it out. Yeah, I'm just gonna need to get out and push a few hundred times. Oh, sorry, my throat's getting really dry here. This thing is big and heavy. Man, this could be a problem. So this was basically carrying extra fuel so that it could refuel us. Wait a second, the priority in this is wrong. Oh, you know what it is? I forgot to enable fuel crossfeed. Okay, there we go. Now we'll make this stop. Thank you. That was what was going on. Okay. Do these, and do these, and do in. That's more like it. Okay, there we go. Is there a way to do this more efficiently, or is this the only way? Wait, are you talking about the game or the finding of things? The thing that Pluto's demotion really ruined was the moniker of Planet X. This is just the place that I've found this. I'm gonna need something somewhere to help. So, maybe so 83, here's the thing, we already knew where the thing was going to transit. So it wasn't discovered. Right, this was MU69. So what they were trying to do is get accurate photometry. Yeah, they were trying to basically look at the object and figure out the shape of it and figure out if there was any debris nearby it. And so they did this, but they knew that they weren't going to find... They already knew where the object was. The object was very faint. It was found by the Hubble Space Telescope. Does that make sense? So what they found was just more detail. Is there a way to use less delta V on the approach to Moho? I could definitely probably optimize this, but I'm trying to figure out how to rendezvous. You know, here's the thing. Being a planet or not a planet has very little to do with whether it gets scientific research funding. Let's be clear. This actually, now I think about it, hold on. Oh man. This may be a completely bad idea, what I'm doing here. You're listening to a rap artist who raps about science. Good stuff. Okay, and warp here. Ha 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 ha. Now, Uranus simply is a hard sell because to get a mission out there takes a very long time. If your mission is going to take longer than the average political career, you can bet that nobody is really excited about funding it. There we go. If only I put bigger rockets on this thing. Doesn't look quite as doesn't look quite so stable, but at least it's going in the correct direction. Ah, man, maybe there's another I'm just putting this down into the inner solar system because I'm sure there's a place to rendezvous or whatever. Not as funny as MC Hawking, though. I think I'm gonna send this one to Eve. So I need to find basically enough fuel. I'm not gonna cheat in more fuel. That would be cheating, obviously. But maybe I can send it to Eve and then have it rendezvous or something. Okay. Oh, X. That's us. We're close enough for now. We'll figure that out. So that's going to go there. I also have some space probes. Okay, let's go back to the tracking station. I also have some space probes around Kerbin. What do I have that can get to Moho? I mean, I think actually at this point what I should definitely do is make these spacecraft rendezvous again, even though that will change my orbit. Okay. How do I target something that's not so nearby? Set as target. Okay, there we go. Relative velocity. Target 70 meters per second. Oh wow, really wasted a bunch of fuel on this thing. Retrograde, or like aim at the target, I guess, is all I need to do. Yeah, they're pretty much the same. Actually, I can probably do this with RCS thrusters. Again, watch and shaving as much fuel as possible. At this point, though, look, my Delta V capabilities are gonna be sort of limited. Where's the quickie mart that gives NASA funding with every squishy? Don't drink from the NASA squishy machine. What's in the NASA squishy machine? Is it yellow? I've heard all sorts of problems with onboard waste disposal systems, let's say. I'm going to say that most politicians can't even seem to get to the level of will this affect their kids. Actually, there's many politicians don't even seem to think that far ahead. How far away is this target? I guess I must have run time forwards already because it doesn't... Oh, distance, 11 million kilometers, huh? separation 439 kilometers. Okay, let's do this. Let's make this happen. So I'm basically flying up close next to this thing again. Beautiful. Okay, 3.1 kilometers. That's where we're going to go. And I'm going to warp here. Okay. Relative velocity 9.5 meters per second. So let's try adjusting things again. Beautiful. So 3 days out from the target, and I'm tweaking the approach parameters. And then warp here, just get a little closer. Let's not talk too much about these donor issues. Although it is interesting to hear that certain procedural rules are being overturned right now. Okay. So I have 2.2 kilometers per second. Separation 0.2. You can always donate to me, but I can't promise to use it to make you richer. I'm sorry. I'm not very good at the whole making people rich thing. Because I'm not a politician and I have no real power. Here we go, 23 minutes away. I'm 13 kilometers out. And so I guess what I do is I'll just run time acceleration to make this happen. What's Asteroid Shave Feeling talking about? Who's my favorite fictional scientist? That's a very good question. I mean, I kind of like Mark Watney as a fictional scientist for many interesting reasons. But that is, I don't really know who I would, most like. Oh, Zoidberg's pretty awesome, yeah. And Spock's pretty cool. Oh, he's just a science officer. Does he actually a scientist? I mean, I guess he is. And got the velocity down to 2 meters per second. Okay, face towards target. Face towards target. Face towards target. Oh man, last minute corrections there. Okay, refuel the tiny amount of fueling. No, actually, got that back to front there. Yeah, we're gonna need some small changes here, but let's take a look back down at this is really hard to see. Apparently, I have knocked this thing just far enough off orbit that we're no longer encountering Moho. Isn't that predictable? Was Data a biologist? So yeah, I think we're gonna have to put like a. I'll add a maneuver. I'm gonna warp there. That's what I'm gonna be. Disconnect. Release. So yeah, here's probably a good place to go. So I'm gonna warp, add maneuver, warp, add a maneuver, and see if I can make this happen. I don't know what direction I was pushed that made this not happen. Set as target. It's so close. So close. What happened to my encounter? This is so unfair. I had to have an encounter, and then I do add maneuver, and it's like, okay, you're still there. Okay. Show us this encounter. Closest approach, 66,000. Gotta slow the heck down there. You know what? If I slowed... Look, I like how it's surface velocity. Yeah, nice. No, I need that. What the heck? It went and it like completely changed there. Okay. It's a bit of a pickle. Yes. Hey, I'm gonna have to come up with a deep space rendezvous plan here. Because this thing... So here's the thing. The spacecraft that's designed for all these rendezvous, they are not really... They don't really have enough delta V to be doing much maneuvering. It needs to get places. Okay, it looks like I need to accelerate. How about that? Oh, there we go. Once again, let's do this, okay? Aha. Oh, that's pretty close, actually. Okay, you know what? I'm going to take that maneuver. I'm going to warp to next maneuver, and we'll figure out how to fix all this. And I need to focus back on this thing. Okay, well, we got a little bit of time. I can always ladder down resonance orbits with Eve if I have enough time. Yeah, good luck with that. Okay, what's going on here? I've got some more comments on the book. Yes, no, I'm not going to talk about the Eve Online book. That video gets a huge number of views, far more than the book itself. So yeah, it looks like I've got a few minutes. So yeah, I could read about my atomic weapons thing. So this is the script that I sort of wrote, but I've now changed because when I read it, I change the script generally. So this is kind of a preview, something that's being worked on. So yeah, it's basically we're starting out with a history of atomic weapons, and the term atomic bomb was coined by H.G. Wells in his 1913 book, The World Set Free.
The idea with Wells bombs was they knew that atomic energy, the energy in a nucleus, was vastly greater than chemical energy. So his nuclear bombs, his atomic bombs, would be hand grenades that would explode with the energy of a conventional explosive but continue for years. So they would find these battlefields with these grenades that were just continuing to explode. Now, the first actual splitting of the atom that was well documented was in 1932 when Cockcroft and Walton, they used their they generated artificial nuclear disintegration by firing protons into lithium using their primitive particle accelerator. Now, by 1932, Einstein knew about E equals mc squared. Everybody knew that. They knew the mass of the helium atoms that were produced. They knew the mass of the proton, the mass of the lithium, and they realized there was a mass discrepancy and therefore energy was released in this process. And that was awesome. They thought, hey, we figured out how to release atomic energy. But then Ernest Rutherford said, well, that's a bunch of baloney. Or actually, he specifically called it moonshine. He pointed out that the energy required to run the particle accelerator was so vastly greater than the amount of energy they would get out that the prospect of nuclear energy was nothing more than moonshine. But the first real step on the way to making nuclear energy actually happen was in December of 1938 when a German team, Otto Hahn, Lise Meitner, and Fritz Strassmann, who had been looking to make heavier elements, they were taking uranium and they were bombarding it with neutrons, hoping to make heavier elements, and instead they started finding barium and other things that were lighter. This was a problem. Now, because of course we were in that whole Nazi period of German history, Lise Meitner had to leave Germany for Sweden, for her own safety. And there she was visited by her nephew, Otto Frisch, and they discussed their science, their work, and Otto had been working with Bohr and figured out, oh yes, this is potentially, he came up with the idea of nuclear fission, basically. So it was just kind of this chance that all these people came together and figured out that nuclear fission could actually happen. Okay, I'm 22 days out. Wouldn't be until 1939 that they realized that, or it was discovered that when uranium fissioned, it also released more neutrons. And those neutrons, of course, were able to potentially generate more fission reactions. Okay, I'm not reading this script because I'm actually also trying to pay attention to this. No, moonshine, he wasn't talking about moonshine the alcohol, because that is the thing. But yeah, so by middle of 1939, there was enough theoretical data to suggest that a self-sustaining nuclear reaction could be initiated under the right circumstances. And guess what? Most of the world experts were German. And they'd been working in Germany. There was real concern that the Nazi government might be investigating this. Although the truth was that all the really smart people had left Germany because they realized that Hitler was a nut job, right? I mean, many of them were literally fearing for their lives. Okay, so I'm going to do this. Okay, once again. Oh, crap. Is this thing still on super low thrust? Yes. Focus. So we'll see how close we can get this thing to the target. Why did the Can Crusher quit his job? Because it was so depressing. Yeah, I mean... yeah, if only Germany hadn't decided to, purge all the Jews that were all the really smart people that were all running, German industry, they might have actually, got that whole thing figured out. Okay, here we go. Okay, and now I'm gonna kill this, and I think I need to make a change. So we're too high right now. Now where are we? So the ascending node is like right there. It really is. It's just like right there. But it's apparently too high, so I need to lower the thing down, which means I need to go anti-normal. And let's see what happens. There we go. We'll bring that thing down. Get as close as possible. Wait, I'd never heard that suggestion about Hitler. That sounds crazy because it was well known back then that mercury was poisonous. I'm sorry, I don't believe that for a second. Yeah, no, he was definitely getting lots of amphetamines. That's more what I don't know about cocaine, but he was on meth. Yeah, various forms of methamphetamines, because made him super hyphy, super crazy. So the problem is that after making this burn, I am still gonna end up flying through the system faster than the thing can catch me. He was also just a bad person. I'm totally in agreement with that. But it's not like German science hadn't figured out. Oh, okay, that might not be ideal. I'm not going to try litho braking. So that should work. Oh, wrong way. Let's go retrograde to slow down. Oh, that doesn't really help. Anti-normal, again, bringing this vector down as close to Moho as possible. Ah, screw it. Yeah, whatever. That'll just have to do it. It should actually slow me down quite a lot. Okay, let's... I'm just wondering if there's anything else I can move into position, or whether I should just make the burn and then figure out how to catch him. Let's actually just add this burn. So we're going to need 3,289 meters per second, right? And that other spacecraft... Now, what I could do... I'm just wondering if I could make like a little burn and perform slowdown. So what I'm going to have is 3,289, right? Where does that put me? Why doesn't it not give me any more? It says it'll take me 200 and... It'll take me 3 hours to make that burn. Okay, so after that... Where does that put me? I can't really tell. That's great, because my nodes aren't going that far forwards in time. Oh wait, no, there it is. Okay, so actually that puts me out near Kerbin, so maybe I can then get a rendezvous from Kerbin. Yeah, so I'm gonna do this. I'm totally... This is what my plan will be. So I'm actually gonna roll back this, like this. So we'll put our node close to Kerbin, and then hopefully we can somehow figure out how to capture that. So I'll leave like another couple of hundred meters per second in there. Okay. Okay, so now. We are gonna go and Thrust limiter is back to 100%. F5, I should probably F5. And I'm going to warp here. So anyway, the concerns over Germany's potential weapons program led to the famous Einstein-Szilard letter, which was to warn President Roosevelt about the potential of an atomic weapon. Now, most of the work had been done by Leo Szilard, but having Einstein's name on the letter made it more likely that it would get the attention that it needed. So Leo visited Einstein in August of 1939, and apparently he was driven there by none other than Edward Teller. Now, the weapon as conceived at the time was a very different device to what was ultimately developed. The letter specifically says, this new phenomenon would also lead to the construction of bombs, and it is conceivable, though much less certain, that extremely powerful bombs of a new type may be thus constructed. A single bomb of this type, carried by boat and exploded in a port, might very well destroy the whole port together with some of the surrounding territory. However, such bombs might very well prove to be too heavy for transportation by the air. And that's when we get into the physics, because we want to talk about... Oh crap, we've already overshot. Okay, retrograde, burn! We're already heading out of this thing. Don't you love it? I've already turned off the thrust limiter. So yeah, we're totally missing out on the Ober effect here. Bye-bye. Hello, Moho. Bye-bye, Moho. So we'll just bring this thing down, and hopefully we can at least get some encounter with Kerbin. Or rather, I'm not going to say we can get an encounter with Kerbin, but we'll be close enough to the orbit. No, I'm not going to reload. Yeah, literally blink and I will miss it. I mean, the thing is, we're still going to fly past Moho at some ridiculously high speed, so I might as well slow this thing down. Okay. I'm going to stop there. 301 meters per second. Now, I'm going to set course for Kerbin. Let's see where that puts everything. Okay, so we'll have an encounter node there, 8.9 degrees. And so let's actually focus the view on Kerbin and see what spacecraft we have orbiting it. Do we have any... We refueled around the moon, but do we have a spacecraft orbiting Minmus? We don't. We have a spacecraft orbiting the moon. Okay. So this is a spacecraft we want to fly. But... Now, what we're going to need to do is slow the spacecraft down, so we want to wait until the moon is here. So watch this. We're going to do this time warp thing. Like that. Okay. So now, switch to... Well, so here's the problem pushing robot is I need to rendezvous with that last depot, so it ain't gonna happen, right? I wish there was KSP in online mode. Yes, that would be kind of fun. Okay, so now for here we are gonna... So this spacecraft has plenty of fuel in it. I mean, it has enough fuel in it. So we're gonna do this Kerbin departure and try to get on the the early orbit. The correct departure orbit. Anyway, so the whole detail is like, how do you go from this original concept of a nuclear weapon, which was literally had to be carried by a ship, to something that can now be carried by a person? Okay. I'm going to use the monopropellant again. And a lot of it came down to not understanding the early physics, right? So in the early days, well, I guess, you're going to see this video, and the way I present it will be a whole lot more... It'll be a whole lot more obvious. There are multiplayer servers, but they're not... I don't know what the support is like for dark multiplayer right now. It's kind of gone all over the place. Is it 1140 already? I'm starting to feel a little sick, I've got to say. Yeah. Oh yeah, that Trinity test. So here's the thing. Did you know that the weapon that was... Not many people realize this, but the Trinity test happened before the first use of a weapon in war. But the weapon that was used, the little boy, was never actually tested because they were so certain it would work, right? It was such a simple design using a gun-type assembly mechanism that they didn't think it was worth wasting the uranium to test it before they actually dropped it. Now, Trinity was a test of a plutonium implosion device. Just remember, there is going to be a launch in about just under 2 hours from Vandenberg, all things being equal. Oh, sorry. Well, here's the thing. Davy Crockett was... Now, Davy Crockett wasn't exactly non-viable. It was older technology, and yeah, they've definitely managed to miniaturize things a little more since then. I'm just trying to bring the thing, the periaps, down to about under 100. I mean, the other thing to realize is the nuclear core in the first plutonium bomb was about the size of my fist. It wasn't much bigger than that. It was really tiny, if you think about it. It was a solid, more or less a solid sphere with a neutron generator in it. Because, they didn't know how to do hollow cores. Now, the rest of the device was a lot bigger because you needed all the explosives, you needed the tamper and everything else, but yeah, device itself, surprisingly small. Okay. So now we burn out to roughly the right trajectory. And then I can do some matching later. Okay. And we'll figure out how to match these things up. It uses about 1,000 meters per second, and it's going to take about 2 minutes to do it. So I'm going to warp here. Here we go, prograde, 3 minutes to go. Oh, the Tsar Bomba? No, you're confusing. So the there was one which was an accidental hydrogen bomb. Well, there was a hydrogen bomb where it accidentally went way bigger than they expected because they didn't realize just how amazing lithium deuteride would be. Put it that way. Opinions on Astroneer? I think it's a fine game. It's well worth losing yourself in Astroneer for a long time. I played it early on and had a lot of fun with it. I've never not had fun playing Astroneer, put it that way. Okay, and let's go for it. It has come a long way, yes. That's right, that was the Baker shot. So basically, the very first proper Teller-Ulam device that was detonated was not really what would be called a weapon. It was more like a thermonuclear building. It was like 80 tons, the whole thing. It was huge. They had liquid deuterium and tritium and everything all in it. Okay. Basically, every time somebody builds a, hydrogen bomb, a Teller-Ulam style device for the first time, they always overdo it, right? They never build a 200 kiloton thermonuclear device as their first thermonuclear. It's always like a 3 to 4 megaton because it's just hard to scale these things down. The real trick is learning how to scale down your weapon systems so that they are viable. Okay. Now, next thing is... Oh, there's the Joule Depot. I need to slow that the hell down, don't I? I'll need to deal with that. But this thing is supposed to target... Oh, never mind. I'll deal with that. Let's get the Joule Depot into a capture orbit. Switch to... How we doing in terms of fuel? Fine. Yeah, the Tsar Bomba was a bit... I mean, first of all, it wasn't as powerful as it could have been, but they just wanted something big. They could definitely have made it even bigger, should they have so desired it. Let's just fire this engine to slow things down for a while. Yeah, that was one of the things that the Tsar Bomba could basically demonstrated. You could have multiple stages in a Teller-Ulam device, and it was also underpowered because they used a lead tamper rather than a depleted uranium tamper. There's a thing that not everyone realizes, that when you depleted uranium, right? That's the stuff left over after enriching uranium. You can still make depleted uranium undergo fission. It's just that the neutrons needed are not produced by the fission of uranium. However, the neutrons produced through nuclear fusion are sufficiently high energy so that you can generate, so that you can make this happen. Okay, I'm just gonna keep this firing and then ditch these things. So, so basically what you get on your typical device these days is you'll have a small core that uses a fission warhead, which uses then radiative compression to generate a fusion reaction, and then the tamper around the fusion reaction is depleted uranium, which will then fission, so you'll get a fission fusion fission thing, and you'll get a lot of energy released. Right, it's not spontaneous for uranium-238. It needs very high energy neutrons, which come from the thermonuclear reaction. Okay, come on. Gonna ditch these things really soon. I don't think I would ever drive a car powered by a radiothermoelectric generator. Okay, let's ditch this thing, see what orbit we're on. We get that there. Now let's figure out where everything is, so we've kind of slowed that down. Maybe I should try and get into orbit around Eve. Focus view. Aha! There's Fat Man. Set as target. So where am I? That's where that will go. Let's go back to Kerbin. Gotta keep the lights on. Yeah, okay. Well, radiothermoelectric isotope generators can be a little more efficient on Earth. Okay, so here we go. We gotta... Oh, good, the ascending node is right here, so at least I can make the plane change maneuver while I'm near Apoaps. So let's make that happen. Okay, so let's add a maneuver here. I have 3, 5, 7, whatever left. I should probably actually right click on this. Man, this is going to take a lot of my delta V to get this rendezvous, but I think when it gets there, it'll work. So I think we're just going to use the one from Kerbin. I've got that one from Joule down there, but it's not going to be necessary. Ah, there we go. Okay, so that is 1100 meters per second to get that first one, right? And that will put us into roughly the same orbit. And then we need to somehow adjust our phasing so that we arrive in the same place at the same time. And that could be the hard part. And then the good news is that at least if I get close to this, I should be able to manage it. Okay, so I'm just going to accept that as it is. Warp's next maneuver. Hopefully we won't undergo any accidental encounters that aren't particularly helpful. And we've done it 1 minute before the thing, which is always not very useful. So I'm going to switch to rendezvous, and the rendezvous tells me 8 degrees. So we're going to get the inclination down to as close to 0 as possible. This maneuver is hard. I don't think I could even land on the moon without wild manly. Do you think I'm wild? Because of my crazy hair. It's like wild hair exploding out of my head. Wild. No. What the life expectancy of a Kerbal is, we're up to 60 years, and I suspect that we will maybe be about 60... won't be that much further on from this, because we're all in very tight maneuvering times now. All the requirements are pretty close. I'm just gonna actually hit this and just watch the value drop. In fact, my time to my relative ascending node is actually increasing, which is a good sign. It means that I'm going to get close to my thing, close to the node, and I won't need to let it go too far. 1 degree. Could have obviously done better if I'd thought about exactly how I was going to do this, but whatever. Okay, 1 day away. So let's move a little closer. No Kerbal has ever died from it. I've had Kerbals die due to Kraken. How about that? I've had Kerbals die due to walking on a surface the wrong way. The Kraken is there. The Kraken is like the Kerbal Reaper. Okay, we'll get a little closer. Okay, come on, come on, come on. I think that's as close. Danny will show you how to kill Kerbals. He will torture them sometimes. They may explode, but do they really die? Or do they just become more powerful than you can possibly imagine? Think about that for a second. One day, Danny will be visited by the ghosts of the former Kerbals he's been killed. He's been, eliminating. I'm close enough now. Let's figure out now how to get a rendezvous. Oh, crap. So wait a second. This is me, and that's the target orbit. I think the best way to do this is to add a maneuver here that makes it touch it out there. Let's try this. And that way when they encounter, it'll be... be like as far away as possible. But where are we actually? So it's there and I'm there. So I'm basically making the orbits as different as possible. The Kraken is a myth propagated by rocket-phobic Kerbals. That's an interesting theory. Yeah, I'm gonna do this. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so warp to next maneuver. And we're gonna have to do some orbits, and then we'll encounter, and then we'll hopefully refuel. Hopefully, I have enough fuel to give this thing something. You didn't know Yoda was a Kerbin? Was Kerbin? Wait, you didn't know that Yoda was Kerbin? You think Yoda was literally the planet Kerbin? I'll have you know that Yoda was about 3 feet tall. I think we know that Kerbin is a pretty small planet, but Kerbin is a little bigger than 3 feet. Which is less than 1 meter for those people that don't speak strange. Hey, Linux Guru Gamer. Oh man, I'm just so... My throat is so ticklish now. Do they speak jive? Only Darth Jar Jar speaks jive, if you remember correctly. Okay. So now, what you want to do is iterate forwards and see how close those things end up, right? So, wait a second. So that's that maneuver. Okay, so I'm going to warp here. I wish I could get myself some beer, but I'm really... Okay, what did it say? 2,122 meters per second. So this is the target I'm trying to rendezvous with. So I'm going to warp here again. That'll be a whole day. A whole orbit. And so it should take about 300 meters per second to rendezvous with it, and then I should be able to refuel it. And then we have the whole issue of getting kind of red and pale, and you're getting angry throat. You may want to call the stream and go to bed before you take ill proper. I've been ill proper. That's really what's happening here. You gotta come out here to Boulder. I can get you drunkards beer or enthusiast beer and quite possibly remedial beer. I like all those kinds of beer. I'm actually looking forward to the new Ninkasi ground control, which has just launched and is going to be a new space beer, of course, because space beer is pretty cool. Okay, so now wait a second. If I put a maneuver here, can I bring these guys together? See that? There we go. Oh, that's about as close as I can get. 900 kilometers. That's pretty good. So, warp to next maneuver. Sorry. Wait a second. Node in T minus whatever days. How do I tell it to warp to next maneuver? Oh yeah, there. I gotta do it just past it. So that's one orbit out. Manly and Rover Dude are the two must-sees for any KSP aficionado. By the way, aficionado, unless aficionado is a fan of people that are efficient, or are you misspelling that? I'm really confused. Pilsner Urkel, I'm trying to remember who makes it. Do you believe Jar Jar was a Sith? No, but it's a funny joke. Okay, we are 1:59. We're almost up to 2 hours of video. Oh, you're sitting next to an empty box of Ninkasi's total domination. Well, good luck. Or, sorry, good for you and all that, right? Okay, maneuver time. So here we go. I'm going to make this maneuver. In fact, I'm going to make this maneuver, and then the last bit I'm going to do using the thingy. Using the reaction control thrusters. How much extra delta V do they include for manned missions? Typically, you'll have like 5%. I don't know. It depended actually. Not as little as possible. Hey, don't worry. The typo is funny. Like, I have no problem with your typo. Don't take it personally or anything. There we go. We'll get this thing as close as possible. Relative speed is going to be about 600 meters per second. Man, I'm still going to need some sort. Hey, fly, Purdue. We are just finishing up a very long and tedious orbital encounter here. We're just trying to rendezvous two spacecraft. Because coming down from Eeloo is taking a very, very long time. Separation 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. There we go, 900 meters per second. Okay, so now the next place I want to put a maneuver is about here, right? So there's my relative distance. So what I need to know is what way will make these things encounter each other correctly. You see, that barely makes any difference. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, it's a inclination issue. So I need a 2.3 meter per second burn. Okay, so actually in that case, inclination is there. That's where I should make this change. Add maneuver. And bring it down. Look at that. Tiny, 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 tiny. Oh, tiny, tiny. Shiny, shiny. I got the impression they had to have a contingency plan that used any extra delta V before including it. I would suspect that there is, but there's always things that sometimes don't go according to plan, obviously. Why no mech jab? Because effort. It would require installing it. Plus, I want to get through this thing without using mech jab because it will be kind of cool if I can get through this without, mech jab. Okay, so it's about as perfect as I can get there. So down to 50 kilometers, and then add maneuver here. No, I'm going to slow down. Oh man, it's so tiny. Kilometers, 18, 20, 16, 15, 14, 13, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, 2.1, just so close. Ooh, 0.6 kilometers. 0.2 kilometers. There we go. Oh crap. And you know what I've done? By turning with reaction control thrusters on, I've messed everything up. I'm going to disable RCS thrusters because when you perform the turn, it basically, yeah, you see it's actually changed my separation now as well. So that was really dumb. I got it down to like a really, really tiny number and then lost it by turning the spacecraft. Because when you rotate a spacecraft, the off-center thrust actually translates to translational movement. Okay, that's where we're gonna go. Warp to next maneuver. It's Squad's intention to have us twiggling around the nodes and get really frustrated about it. I think if I was a high school teacher, I'd just put on Scotch Twitch and then quiz them on orbital maneuvers and Yoda's origin story, Jeb Kerman's son. That is not, strictly speaking, canon. I think point 4 is close enough. So now I'm just going to use RCS again. I like the fact, look at this thing, it's just swinging around in circles. Let's see what it says. I'm just going to try this, RCS again. Oh, it's so it's beautiful. Oh, point 3. Excellent. Okay. What's not canon? The Death Star canon is obviously. Okay, where is... Yeah, what am I doing here? Fat Man, distance 32,000 kilometers. I'll warp here like 1 day out. Or not even 1 day out from the target. So we're just trying to sneak this in here. Nope, that's not it. Again, it's the inclination thing, I think. Look at that. Get that right on there. Brilliant. Okay, so now turn off the reaction control thrusters. Rotate. Once I've got the thing lined up, it is rotated, but the thing is too small. See this? Like the maneuver node is just like invisible. So I'm just going to do this and then tap it. There we go. In before collision at 500 meters per second, yes. Well, how close are we now? 1,400 meters per kilometers. Okay, retrograde. Retrograde. Oh, turn off RCS. Turn off RCS. Target retrograde. There we go. How many years have I been in space? I have been in space for 61 years, 219, almost 200 days. 40 minutes to target. So, let me see. What is my thrust to weight ratio is 0.84. So I should need about just over a minute to get close. So I guess I can... Oh, man. I'm just going to get closer till it's about 10 minutes to target, right? It's coming in here. But sand eventually turns into sandstone. So, you know, you can't just imagine everything turns into sand. Okay, what are we doing here? I'm going to use some of this monopropellant. Because why not? Use as much of this as possible. Will I come home older or younger? Well, given that I'm mostly moving in space, not very close to relativistic speeds, I don't think I will be that much different from people on Kerbin. And of course, there aren't people on Kerbin, but just clarifying that the the inhabitants of Kerbin, are not people. Yeah, to convert Kerbin days to Earth days, you just multiply them by 4. Or divide them by 4. Every Kerbin day is 4... every 4 Kerbin days is 1 Earth day. See, look, my delta V is increasing because I'm doing this. Jeb is the Chuck Norris of Kerbals. He doesn't sleep, he waits. Yes, I've heard that. I prefer the Bruce Schneier facts myself because I'm a computer security nerd. Okay, 5 minutes to target. And it's 12:15. I've totally gone over my time budget. This is where if I had like a heat shield, I would have done, you know... Okay, let's start firing these engines now. I'm going to bring the velocity down to about 100 meters per second because that's just going to give me more time to make sure I don't screw this up. Never mind. They say Durin had no chin. Under his beard was another beard. What's that from? I remember that. Okay, let's do this. Turn off the reaction control thrusters. I think this is the place I need to burn. Oh, maybe not. Oh, there, actually it is. Three minutes out. Can I see the target? Yeah, yes I can. Beautiful! Gonna wait until I get down to like 1 minute to target now and then slow way the heck down. Okay, 1 minute to target. Slow down to like 100 meters per second. It's gonna be about 2 minutes now to target here. And once again, actually I'm going to do this. $50 meters per second. What is 32 seconds? Interesting. Das is asking, not Das, he's asking whether you can see the interior of a Buran, a museum in Germany, and I do not know. I would imagine that there wasn't much on the flight deck of the Buran because it was automated. I've done suborbital stuff more than a few times. Okay, let's bring the velocity down to like 4.5 meters per second. Now bring the velocity down to about 1 meter per second. Switch over. I gotta target this thing. This thing needs to target the target. We're super armed and super ready and super dangerous. And that's us. Isn't this beautiful? Yeah, the next step is in-atmosphere refueling. I've done that, though. Just not in this particular mission. Okay, so I think at this point it's a good time for me to terminate and save, and I'm thinking that we're really close to the end of this. Really close to the end of this epic, terrible idea. We'll have to just somehow figure out how to get close to Moho again. Yeah, it's totally not wanting to be any close to me anytime soon. But anyway, yes, thanks everyone for tuning in. We shall see you around, and until the next time, fly safe.